Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the January 2024 Jacksonville North Pulaski School District regular school board meeting. Jacksonville North Pulaski School District will be the model district where every learner is valued and empowered to become a successful, contributing member of society. Our mission is to foster a culture of ownership and accountability through partnerships that create multiple pathways of success. If you'll join me as we stand for a moment of silence, followed by the pledge. Colonel Daniel, will you read it, please? Absolutely.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
Let me do roll call.
I guess so. Go ahead.
All right. Colonel Estelle. Daniel Gray.
He's here.
Ava Coleman. Jim Moore is absent. Ron McDaniel is present. Dina Tony.
Here.
Lauren Martin.
Here.
Laura Walker.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Very good, so thank you very much. Well, first item we got on the agenda here this evening is a special presentation. I'll turn it over to Dr. O.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to invite Dr. Jones and Mrs. Darrington to come forth, and they will present tonight.
Okay, good afternoon. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm excited to share what our Attorney Titans are doing. I wanted to share with you guys, just going to give you a snapshot of what we're doing on the pre-K level, how they're progressing this year. On the first slide that you see is from our data from our pre-K rise, which came out of Department of Education. It reviews, goes over their pre-assessment, which is at the beginning of the year, and then the comparison of their data with our middle of the year data. And as you can see, for instructional vocabulary, which is kind of like first, last, next, part, and whole, those types of questions, our students have grown 16%, as you can see there, with chronological awareness, which is understanding the sound structure, blends and rhyming words and things of that nature. Our students have grown 30% since the beginning of the year. With concepts of print, this is like what do we read, and differences between letters and pictures and things of that nature. They've grown 22% of growth. With our uppercase letters, they've grown 10%. With the lowercase letters, they've grown 6%, and with their letter sounds, they've grown 15%. So this kind of gives us a snapshot of where we could grow and the system with and the classroom as well. And so they will also have an innovative assessment from the pre-K rise specialist as well. I'm supposed to be brief, so I'm
We appreciate it.
Good job. Thank you.
all right. And the next slide, I asked the curriculum team to kind of give us a snapshot of how our babies were doing, those that have entered kindergarten and what the trend looks like. I'm pleased to say that currently our students that are in kindergarten entering this year, if you can look, this is our MAT guide. And so we're trending in the correct direction. As you can see at risk, students are in the NPSD. are less at risk. When it comes to being close, less of them are close, and when it comes to being proficient, more of them are proficient. And so overall, JNPSC scholars, kindergarten scholars coming in compared to non-JNPSC scholars they are more ready for kindergarten, more proficient. So that is something that, with the help of the pre-K RAS specialists and that the need of awareness when it comes to the foundational skills was really helped. As you can see, we did a trend map with comparison of 2021, which is when we started pre-K RISE. It was also when I came to Homer Athens. We were a pilot school for the first 2 years with them. And so all of our teachers are pre-K RISE, training our 4-year-old teachers. And so we're glad to know that as well. And then we also have all of our teachers who are letter trained. We have, except for 2, our senior teachers, and they are in training countries. So we are proud to say that as well. And they also receive a stipend for completing the letter training for that. But as you can see, we're trending in the right direction. When it comes to exceeding and ready, the total percentage on there is 30.21% compared to where they were close and need of support. For 2023, the total was 32.42% of growth. And then for exceeding and ready, and then for 2023, this past year, it's been 39.6% growth. So they are trending in the right direction. We are pleased with that. And as you can tell the viewers, you can see where they are going. They have made gains since we started this literacy program. So we're excited about that. Next slide. Just celebrations, and I know you guys have reports on it. Read all of this, just kind of point out some things. Overall, our county titans are growing in the digital literacy, and that our kindergartners are that are coming from JNPSC are more ready for kindergarten than those that are non-JNPSC scholars from our pre-K. I was excited that I was elected as a board member for the Arkansas Early Childhood Association. So I'll start that this month in 2024. We did a lot of different things. We had turkey donations for our school. We also, and thanks to the help of you all in the district, we initiated a school board and district monthly book reading initiative. So thank you all for coming in and supporting that and reading to our scholars. Every semester, I'm not sure if you know this, but we do a retention retainment bonus for our pre-K staff, and that's all staff, even all the way down from our nurse to our secretaries to our security. Everyone gets that every semester, and that was the assistance of the COVID research grant. We still utilize those. So I'm gonna run it out, but we're gonna use them up until we can, so we don't have them anymore. And just want to give some things, some highlights that we had. We had a November Titan of the month. We had a classified staff member who is now a licensed pre-K teacher. That was our family service manager, Scott. We also have a teacher, Ms. Phyllis, who is now has her license in administration, so we're pleased with that. And then I just want to highlight that we have 9 staff that are part of our Teach Scholarship program. And this is a free program where anyone in my staff can seek our degree for free. This is an early scholarship. So I have 7 care professionals that are seeking bachelor degrees right now. And I have 2 teachers that are seeking master's degrees. So, and 95% of their tuition is paid, and the other 5% is paid through free. So we're excited about that, and we're very pleased with that process.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Jones.
Thank you.
Mrs. Barrington?
Good evening, happy new year. I took a little bit different approach. Instead of giving you data on how the Coconut Scholars are doing. We are part of 3 initiatives this year for inclusive practices. One was the grant that we applied for, and we were chosen. One is for schools in the state. And then we're part of 2 other initiatives that we're working to improve our inclusive practices. And when you have time, we can sit down and talk inclusive practices all day long. But on the first slide here, these are the goals that we set for our inclusive practices and our needs assessment. So one thing that Dr. Walker charged my department was to do our own walkthroughs And so we've walked through our special education classrooms to look at how we're doing and where we need to improve. So these are the goals that we set. So Dr. Ellis will go to the next slide. And if you'll just click one at a time, these are the areas that we looked at. And so is learning required by every scholar? So when our teachers are pulling scholars in small groups, each scholar has different goals and objectives, but are they all, is learning required in those small groups? And so you can see that it's about 50-50. It's not acceptable, so we're working on that. And I've got goals listed on the last page. Are high quality instructional materials being used? Special ed teachers are required to use the same instructional materials as general ed teachers. So I'm working with Dr. Picard to make sure they have access to the same materials. No longer is special ed a replacement for regular ed classes. The requirement is, and the expectation is, that the special ed scholars have the same instruction as the general ed scholars. What we're going to see in the future is special ed teachers acting more as an instructional facilitator. We're not replacing that anymore. Our special ed scholars are required to learn the same material as general ed scholars. We're just there to help facilitate that learning. It's process, and I'm here to, my charge is to make that happen, and I will not leave until we've made it happen. Even though I can retire in 3 years, I'm not going anywhere until it happens. The next,
We're just gonna
my financial advisor.
strike that from the record.
That would be my husband, he will not let me go until then. Is specialized instruction aligned with grade level standards? Again, that's what we're working towards with our PLC inclusive practices. That's our meeting this Friday to make sure we're aligning our goals with the grade level standards. We're working on a crosswalk document to help our teachers do that, to make sure that we're not writing goals for the level that they're on, we're writing goals to bridge that gap between where the scholars are and what that grade level standard is. Because you cannot graduate on an IEP any longer. You can only graduate with a regular diploma unless you are in a community-based instruction classroom, which we call life skills. And the last one, this is the one that I'm really looking at, are paraprofessionals actively engaged in the instructional process. There's a not applicable to this because not every classroom has a paraprofessional, but if there's a paraprofessional in a classroom, they have to be actively involved in instruction. There's no more sitting in the back of the classroom. If I catch you just sitting in the back of the classroom not doing anything, I'm going to the administrator and saying, this needs to change, what are we going to do to change it? And I'm looking for ways to make sure the paraprofessionals know how they can engage the scholars. Because you don't have to be a special education teacher to provide special education instruction. I can come in and teach any one of you how to go into a classroom and help provide special education instruction. If you want to volunteer to provide special education instruction, come over to the office, teach how to do it. So these are our focus areas: to increase strategies for scholar engagement, to ensure that all the special education staff has access to the same high quality instructional materials as all the general education staff, to continue to work on the crosswalk with the new standards. We had one done, they changed all the standards, so now we're having to reinvent the whole entire document, and to continue to work on professional development with our special education paraprofessionals so that we can expand what they're doing. I didn't have time to do a lot of celebrations because I actually did this document at my child's hospital bedside before the break, so my best celebration is Dr. Oates and Dr. Walker's support on getting the special education coordinators part 2. Having 2 coordinators has really allowed us to expand what we're doing. I think it's a really good thing. Nicole? I kept it brief.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Daniels. Next, board presentation or special presentation is just on behalf of the scholars and staff members of Jacksonville North Pulaski School District. I would like to just say how much we appreciate our board members. January is Board Appreciation Month, and hands down, and I've been a few places, but hands down, you're the best board. You ask the tough questions, you're engaged, you are champions for scholars and staff members, and so we want to show you just how much we appreciate you. So you have some items at your desk to help you stay hydrated and warm, and you'll need that for the next few days. And our pre-K center also provided you a special gift as well. So thank you for all that you do. And we have another special presentation, Colonel Stale. Are you ready for yours? Okay.
Yes, so good evening, everybody. I just wanted to share, I have two things actually to share. First, we've been receiving fantastic feedback on the Military Family Life Counselors Program and the Anchor for Life program as positively impacting students at Bobby G. Lester and Jacksonville Middle School. These programs are crucial for supporting military children during challenging transitions, like moving to a new school, adjusting to a new environment after a permanent change of station, or transitioning from elementary to middle school. So these things are challenging for many children, but it's even more complex for our military kids who often face additional stress like frequent relocations and parent deployments. So programs like the Military Family Life Counselor Program initiative provide essential support during these times and kind of helps our kids navigate the emotional and social challenges that come with these changes. And then the Anchor for Life peer-to-peer clubs are another excellent resource. You know, they foster that sense of community and belonging, you know, that our children, you know, need when they're new to a school. So this peer support is crucial in helping military children integrate into their new environments. So we just wanted to say thank you for this district's involvement. You've gone above and beyond what the state requirements are. And along with the Purple Initiative, we just Purple Star Initiative, we want to say thank you. And then my other presentation is for the outstanding work and support that you all have given us for our air show. We were named by the Thunderbirds as best military show in the entire DoD for 2023. So we just got this in, so forgive me for not having it framed, but it said they didn't know two Jacksonville Public Schools, but all the Thunderbirds signed it. So I just wanted to present that to you. And this is, you know, this is special. It doesn't happen all the time. So I was surprised. So thank you for everything that you've done.
Thank you, Colonel Stitt. Thank you, Colonel Estelle. This concludes, Mr. Gray, that concludes the special presentations.
All right, we got Mr. Scott Richardson with us this evening, sir. You have a legal update for us, or you just you want to hang out for things to be done later?
I'll reserve my time to wait.
Very good. All right, facilities update. Do we have a facilities update this evening? Good evening, sir. Happy New Year. Good evening. Happy New Year. Good. Happy New Year. The school's done yet?
Y'all cheer the building. Nothing happened. Fairly pleased with the process. Progress we've made. Working pretty diligently on both schools. Still got a few minor issues on both schools. One, they'll try to keep military, working on some design issues with the road stuff. I just causing some delays. They're working on it. I don't know where they're on the process. I need with the wastewater treatment facility. The final improvements to that EQ. So I still think we need to go on Monday night. We'll have that last week. If everything goes well, we'll have the driveways poured this week. So our night issues will be finally completed. We'll move forward. Schedule wise, we're doing pretty well on both schools. Other than those two issues,
Do we have any need of any assistance from some of our friends at the legislature that helped us with?
I don't think so yet on AEAQ. That was handed off to them early mid-December, so I don't know if they really had time to process it through the audit. I talked to Aaron with WR about it last week. And for the background, we got a meeting tomorrow. We'll talk about it again. And I fill that out.
Okay.
By early, about a meeting next month. And I'll tell you this about.
Okay.
We got till the end of February, 1st of March. So that would be critical. Not critical. It is a few things.
Raising a red flag.
Always. I don't hide information. But, everything on the building's pretty good, like y'all looked at there. Weather's gonna hold us up on brickwork. We'll be finishing the week or two on the brickwork. But next week, we're probably not doing anything until like Thursday. But, brick's doing good. We're getting ready to finish up with concrete. Working on the site concrete paving good. Repair sheet rock paint, doing pretty good. We're getting ready to Paint the gym, areas two, the electric storefront finished. The metal panels are still delayed. But I made a, I think they're actually delivering on our table. Don't have a date on setting HVAC units. I know 4 of the 7 are in for Diamita and Merle Taylor. So we will get a delivery date for her in the crane, so it probably happens later this month. Mid the end of the month, we should have gas and electrical on, working on that. Because I'm not sure Merle Taylor was there on the electric. So either, both those are gonna work on. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. Y'all got the report. Do y'all have any specific questions for each of them?
So you're still using this portable heat?
Still using temp heating, but like I said, we're trying to get a power on, hopefully in a couple of weeks, so they're working on those parts. Switcher panels are installing those currently, through that we can get a thumbs up on inspection, and then cancel it out and turn fire. So, hopefully.
You get a report on the CPC billing for us, it's looking good out there.
I did not have a report on that at all. Didn't even know we were doing it till I showed up.
Not your project, right? You got enough to worry
I
about.
need to know basement plan, I didn't need to know. Any other questions?
Thank you very much, sir, we appreciate it.
Y'all have a good evening.
All right, I think WER is off this evening. So, next item we've got is the 2024 Master Plan Public Hearing. Dr. Stein. We need to open the hearing and close the hearing, how does that work?
So, slides I know are in your packet. I sort of realized, it's 10 years now doing this, so this is number 5 meetings. These are every 2-year meetings. This is a hearing of letting, people see the plan we have. So, slide, please. So again, our plans are done on a 2-year cycle. The plan is typically next month, February 1st. And so we actually look at the needs and the opportunities of addressing the needs. And so one of the items that we're in the master plan is doing the mentioned now. So here was the plan 2 years ago. So we were going to build 2 new schools. So we needed space. Middle school needed additional space, of course, and we still had the 3 heavy needs. So those were the plan 2 years ago. Slide now is showing the plan now, I guess, if you will. So we addressed 2 new schools. You're aware, of course, we're nearly done there. So here's a list of the projects we're working on now. And so the Taylor ones, of course, will be started once the school is done. So this is the 6-year master plan now. Plan is very short, but now is the opportunity of anybody that should have some master plan comments.
All right, board members, do we have any comments or questions? Is there anybody here in the audience that would like to speak to the master plan? Have any questions about it?
I have a question about the middle school space. Will we solve that issue with the new addition, or are we still running at max capacity?
So space-wise, we solved it. School-wise,
We're still, and our dean of students is here, so I won't put him on the spot, but everyone will tell you that they can definitely use more space. Where enrollment continues to rise, and for our specialty classes, we could definitely use some additional, for those additional extracurricular classes, we could use some more space for that. So the more we can spread them out, the better. And so long range, we definitely need to look at, even though on paper, the building is suffice, based on our needs for our students and the staff members, we should definitely explore additional space when the time comes.
As far as the program and requirements, we're in compliance and they say we fit the mold.
And so then, it's, for instance, it's a small space of meeting, so you really need, more as far as your teaching there, but you can satisfy the state standards.
The ALE space, this may not be related to the master plan, but while we're on it, is it, are we,
Yeah.
we move in there after semester?
They're in there, and I'm looking for Mr. Lester.
He's looking for somebody there.
But the ALE students and staff are located in a new space. We've received great positive feedback so far. Today was day one, and so we haven't had any hiccups, but transportation went well. They were fed and they were returned home well. So
We are working on the Wi-Fi. You feel like we got a good handle and a plan to make it better.
I will also remind the board that there's an option that we would like to move forward with the demo work of Warren Dupree, and so we wanted to ask if you all had any reservations on moving forward with that as well.
I have no reservations, nothing on that.
Okay.
Is the police departments and the sheriff's departments, are they gonna, have they got enough to be upset about that?
The
Well,
last schedule is in April. So
Yeah.
Okay. We gotten the entire state through there yet?
I think.
but I think they also are tired of coming after hours too for some other incidents. So it's time for us to go ahead and retire that
As
building.
it's cold, people look for a place.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, we don't need it to turn into Nextville Elementary.
Right.
Are you still going over?
No, we've shut water and electricity, correct, Mr. Lester? So that's all. We'll have to, once we do the abatement or it's not, we'll have to provide some minor utilities so they can complete that. But other than that, I think the only thing that we have over there right now is it still falls under our insurance, so we're still paying that premium. So
Have we done all the required offerings to other charter schools and all that kind of stuff before we dispose of that, or is that taken care of?
well, because
Keeping that.
well, we're not keeping it. It's demolished under the partnership funding, and so because it falls under the partnership funding, we can move forward with the demolition. Yeah. Mr. West?
Correction on the electricity. The electricity is off of the old kindergarten wing and those quarters in the back. There's still electricity in the main building.
And that includes water,
No
not
water.
just electricity.
Water flow.
All right, sir, thank you very.
Just a comment, is Bobby Lester available to be expanded? Is there a possibility of expanding that? Is that in the plan?
Right now, we do not have a phase two. The only buildings that we had a phase 2 and 3 for, phase 2, we had that for the middle school and we completed that. And there's a phase 2 for the high school, and that hasn't been done. And right now, it's not needed, but those were the only 2 buildings that have phase 2.
The reason I bring it up, got a couple of subdivisions going up over there, and Mr. Gray tells me that they're in the Pulaski County Special School District. However, I can't believe that people would send their kids all the way to Sherwood when there's a school down the street.
Mr.
That's a
Lester,
comment.
did you have a comment?
Yes, then in the master plan, calling for the K-5 ALE that's currently in Bobby G. And we move it to the multi-purpose room at North Taylor, that frees up
Space over there. Okay, that sounds like it. A great answer.
I think at some point when all those subdivisions get built out and occupied, the first thing we'll need to look at is rezoning and changing where students are assigned and things of that nature before they're, I mean, I think Bobby G is one of our largest elementary schools, and I think Bonita will be able to take some more expanded before anything else in the town would be.
That's not what they tell me, Bobby. They said they're already at capacity.
Southview is at capacity even before they enter the building. So,
Sounds like we need to start planning for another school, but anyway, that sounds like a workshop, Mr. McDaniel.
Well, I just wanted to bring it up. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
thank you, Dr. Stein.
All right, Legacy Walk.
No report.
No report. All right.
Well, I will say that everything is posted. I did want to update you all, and Chisa did a mass email, a social media push, but everything is posted on our website. And so for the first day back, we're rolling and ready to receive those nominations.
All right, district reports. We got the superintendent's report, and
We won't have a PPC report today, but the only thing, I had two items. It was to report to you about the ALE move and the status for that. And the second thing was that school choice started January 1st. And so we're in school choice from now to May. And so if you have scholars who would like to come to a world-class district, please choose Jacksonville North Pulaski School District. Mrs. Williams, I want to brag on her. She has done a massive media push, so you should hear commercials on the radio, several radio stations, as well as print and Channel 11, THV 11. So that has definitely benefited the district in the past. We're currently with pre-K about 4503 enrollment, and so in 2021 we were at 3852. So we definitely think that the media push and publicity of the new buildings and the offerings that we have here in Jacksonville is paying off. And so please, if you would need more information about what we offer, you can see any of our district administrators. That concludes the superintendent's report.
I think they're graduated.
I know what you think. They may have you
All
might
right.
have grandkids. So.
Better not be for a while. Consent agenda is number 7 here on our list. I've got the minutes of the December 4th, assistant superintendent's reports, and then the financial report. Is there anything in there that needs to be pulled out for discussion? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve as presented in the packet.
So moved.
All right, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Next, we've got a resolution for local support of the 6-year master plan.
Yes, before you, you have the resolution of the information that Dr. Stein just shared with you. And so we ask approval for that resolution so that we can move forward and presenting it and sending it off to DESE.
All right, we've got a recommendation. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. All right, now we've got our legal transfer requests.
We have for this month 2 requests. One for 2 scholars to move from Jacksonville North Pulaski School District to the Cabot School District. And then request number 2 is for 1 scholar to move from Jacksonville North Pulaski School District to the Cabot School District. The administration recommends approval of both legal transfers.
Make a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation.
Got a motion and a second. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak for or against those? All right, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. All right, IT fixed asset disposal.
Yes, the following assets that are before you are being recycled for parts, but we do need a board approval to move forward with this process. So the recommendation is to approve these asset deletions from our public records.
So moved.
All right, got a motion and a second. Any discussion? There was some discussion about moving one of those boards to the CPC. part of that, or is that something?
That's going to be part of when we close 5 meter in Merle Taylor.
Okay.
We'll have some,
Not.
not these.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. Removal of buses from district inventory.
Yes, just as you all have done with IT per audit, we need board approval to retire these buses, to remove them from our district inventory. So the recommendation is to approve the removal of the buses from the district inventory, as stated.
So moved.
I've got a motion and a second. Any discussion, questions? Are any of these propane buses?
No, sir. Those are new.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. All right, next item we've got is personnel, and I see there is an addendum before us. So the first thing I'd like to do is entertain a motion to approve the addendum to add to the agenda. Somebody?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right, that is added to the agenda. So we've got personnel report, before us, and, we got the superintendent's contract to discuss as well. We need to go into executive session for that?
We're all going to discuss it.
I mean, we just approve it? Actually, no, I need to give a report, that's right. All right, so I'm gonna move that we go into executive session to discuss superintendent's contract for renewal, and we will move to executive session.
Cafeteria.
Yeah. I forgot. All right, we're back in regular open session. Okay. We've got a recommendation from the superintendent from the personnel report before us in our packet. Do I hear a motion?
Second.
Heard a second. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, also, we have before us a finalized contract for extending Dr. Owa's contract with us for another year, for the maximum 3 years allowed by the Arkansas state law. And we've got some performance goals in here for the district and Dr. Owa that we discussed previously. So do I hear a motion to approve this? A motion and a second. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. We're
Ladies,
excited.
thank you.
Okay. I think that takes care of personnel. Next item we've got is student disciplinary actions. How many total do we have? Uncontested?
We have one.
Okay, come on down. Is there just one hearing, or is there any uncontested?
Several uncontested, one.
Let's go ahead and do the uncontested first. Everybody got those? It'll take a second to look at those, and then I would entertain a motion to approve or disapprove. Any of them need to be pulled out, let us know, but if not, I'd entertain a motion to approve all of them at the same time. I'm seeing 7 uncontested, is that right, Jake? 7.
Yes, seven.
I entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we approve the superintendent's recommendation for the 7 uncontested expulsions.
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. All right, next on our list here, I've got an expulsion hearing for Stephen Glenn of Jacksonville High School. Is Jillian Booth or Stephen Glenn present?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. All right, come on down. Do you desire the hearing to be open or closed to the public? Closed. Closed, all right. So the hearing is not open to the public, so all those not required to be present for the hearing will need to leave the room. So you guys can go out into the hallway. We close those doors.
That's on file.
We guesstimated.
You know, I'm not trying to get skinny. Is it a cardigan that's not?
I'm gonna go ahead and call us back into, open session. Remind everybody to silence their communication devices. If you do receive a call, please step outside the room to carry on the conversation. This portion of our meeting is called for the purpose of a hearing. The recommendation of superintendent that the employment contract of Jacksonville-Pulaski School District employee, Ms. Janice Bryant, be terminated. Ms. Bryant is representing herself. Is that correct, Ms. Bryant? Administration is represented by Attorney Scott Richardson. The procedure will be for the superintendent to make his recommendation of non-renewal, and then the superintendent or other administrator will set forth the reasons for the non-renewal. When the administrator's statement is completed, the witness may be questioned by the employee's representative and then by the board members themselves. Procedure will be followed for each additional witness the administration calls, if any. When the administration's presentation is completed, the employee may go forward with her own statement and the statement of others she intends to call. Anyone making a statement on behalf of the employee may be questioned by the administration's attorney and by the board. Since the law makes no provisions of formal cross-examination, any questioning will be done in an informal and conversational manner. At the conclusion of this presentation, the attorneys or representatives may make closing statements with a reply by the administration's attorney. I must emphasize once again that the purpose of this hearing is to bring before the school board the recommendation that the employment contract of Ms. Janice Bryant be terminated, and only matters relevant to the recommendation will be permitted. Dr. Ola, please begin the hearing by stating your recommendation.
Good evening again, board members. Before you, the last few pages of that packet that Mr. Richardson provided is a recommendation for termination of contract for Ms. Janice Bryant, teacher at Jacksonville High School. The recommendation is set for you because refusal to follow directives from my stance, and as well as the directives that were provided by Principal Biggs, Ligel Biggs, and Mrs. Christy Darrington, the Director of Special Education. You will also see a written reprimand in there, and then, of course, a suspension without pay. Two of those meetings, I met with Ms. Bryant and gave her the directive that she was to teach grade level learning. As you have heard from Mrs. Darrington, the importance of teaching grade level instruction for all students, and then filling in the gaps with tier 2 and tier 3 interventions. After I met with her and gave her the suspension without pay, the issues were not corrected. She continued to do what she wanted to do in the classroom. And then so I met with her again after learning that the behavior that was not corrected and issued her the recommendation for termination. Mr. Richardson is here on our behalf.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Richardson.
We'll ask Ms. Bates to come to the podium and provide some testimony to the board. And everyone should have two packets. One is the district packet, like one with the table of contents on the front, and then Ms. Bryant has provided a packet of, looks like emails to the board as well. But we'll start in the district packet, and I want to turn your attention to page 13 of that packet. This will be the letter of representative dated November 3rd. Oh, you don't have to know.
You don't have the packet.
Page 13. Right. Ms. Biggs, Ms. Bryant was hired as a special education teacher, to teach math at the high school, is that right?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Were you involved in her hiring?
Yes, sir, I was.
Or was it, understood that she held the qualifications to teach at the high school at that time?
Yes, sir, that was the understanding.
As the school year started, though, you decided out things were a little bit different?
Yes, sir, we started to get some complaints and, and during our classroom walks, we discovered that, she was not teaching the content.
What was the content she was teaching?
Algebra 1 and geometry.
And then you did, was it discussed with Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
What was her response?
Well, if I can back up just a little bit, we brought in support for her. And so, but when she met with one of the persons from the co-op, we later, the next day she asked to see me. I met with her and I asked her if this was something she could do. And she said, yes, with support. And I said, not a problem. I will make sure that you have the appropriate support. So my understanding was that she was fully capable of teaching the Algebra 1 and the geometry classes, the content. And the first moment.
No, you're okay. You're doing a great job. I just wanted to direct
Sure.
everyone to the reprimand on page 13. At the bottom, there's a paragraph that begins, on September 8th, you were directed to meet Mr. Bristol from Willoughby Mills.
Yes, sir.
And who's Mr. Bristol?
Mr. Rister is a person that comes in. Ms. Darrington actually contacted him. And so he comes in to support our staff and their academic or their content areas. So his specialty is mathematics. And so we brought him in to speak with Ms. Bryant.
He's from the Mills Co-op, correct?
Yes, sir.
And he's there to help her teach algebra and geometry to his scholars, right?
Yes, sir. He kind of came in to assess the situation somewhat, but yes, and give her some direction and support.
Okay. Did she receive additional support from other staff at the high school?
Yes, sir, she did.
Specifically, Ms. Mims and Mr. Williams worked with her also try to get up to speed on teaching algebra, right?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
It was, after all that support, was she teaching algebra and geometry?
No, sir. When we, again, did our classroom walkthroughs and checked camera, then she was teaching something other than the content.
And that other was
Multiplication facts.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Multiplication tables.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
I'm older than math facts.
Okay.
I got a little help with that one, thank you. And so the reprimand, which is on page 14, below the dates, it reflects that Ms. Mims, Mr. Williams, in addition to Mr. Brister, model lessons, and even with support, described that I gave students a grade level algebra 1 and geometry instruction. And so that's part of the basis for this reprimand, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then it also talks about not completing the special education paperwork. I was talking to Sherry about that a little bit more, but if you just give the board a little brief overview of what you discovered.
Of what about the paperwork?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so, it was brought to our attention that, one of her colleagues was doing her special education paperwork, which is her responsibility. All of my education teachers have a caseload, scholars that they're responsible for. And, she had, another person was keeping us in compliance by doing her work for her instead of her doing the work. And so that was brought to her attention, and she was issued a directive to correct that.
We're gonna jump forward in our packet to page 23. And this will be the suspension without pay.
Yes, sir.
And it's November 13th, 23. And that's it, correct?
Yes, sir.
Reflect what we talked about with her, not being able to teach algebra and geometry, getting support beginning on September 8th, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that support continued throughout September into October, right?
Yes, sir.
It mentions the special education problem we just discussed, right?
Yes, sir.
At the bottom, of paragraph 4, on November 9, 23, Ms. Bryant was stopped by Ms. Bartlett and advised to schedule F conferences for 2 students.
Yes, sir.
What's available in F conferences?
F conference is to be held by law, state law, that if a scholar is failing and they have an IEP, you hold an F conference to make sure all of their accommodations are being met by the instructor. And if not, then we devise a plan for that scholar to be successful. And so when this was brought to Ms. Bryant's attention, she knew nothing about it. She knew nothing of the law, and she wanted a copy of the law because she had no knowledge of it. So the F conferences were not held by Ms. Bryant; they were held by other staff members because, again, the end game is for our scholars to be successful and to stay in compliance with the law. So that's where we handled that.
And so, on November 13th, she's not teaching algebra and geometry like she's supposed to teach that.
Yes, sir.
She's still making mistakes with the special education work, correct?
Yes, sir.
And so she's suspended without pay to try and make the point for her to do those things, correct?
That's correct.
And we'll go to page 29. Be our recommendation for termination.
Yes, sir.
It goes to written recommendation, the problems that brought about the recommendation will continue through much of November this time.
Yes, sir, they did. I went as far as to send her an email to remind her of the directives that Dr. Owa had given her, and in that meeting, Dr. Owa had also expressed that, she expressed that she didn't have what she needed in order to teach, and so Dr. Owa told her to create a list and to share that list with Ms. Darrington and myself, which never happened.
Then on the next page, paragraph 3 reflects that. Statement that she needed additional materials and resources, but that she never made that request for additional support.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
And then number 4 is a misconduct incident involving students.
Mm-hmm.
You like to be careful not to use the student's name.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give the board a brief summary of what happened?
They were asked to memorize multiplication tables. Young man questioned why his was incorrect on the paper.
you look at it, you did it correctly, but he repeatedly asked her, why is my answer not right? Why are they not correct? Why aren't you giving credit? And so he was sent out of the room. And he, this has just kind of been going on and on and on, with the multiplication table. So, she just reiterated he needed to write his twos, and he was, moving, well, first of all, she shouldn't have been having him do a multiplication table anymore, period, because that has absolutely nothing to do with geometry or algebra one. It has something to do with it, but it was not a part of the content or the standards. So that's where we were with that.
At the bottom of this, notice the recommendation determination,
Mhm.
handwritten note, our approved decided due to expectations above the student's abilities. You got this right?
Yes, sir, it is.
And you're aware that one of her problems with teaching the assigned content was she felt like the students weren't performing well enough at the more basic math lessons.
Yes, sir. And,
What's your response to that?
so, she was advised and directed several different times that we are fully aware that our scholars have deficiencies, but you embed those deficiencies or that you address those within the lesson. You don't abandon the curriculum and not do the curriculum. So, you embed that as a bell ringer, you embed it as an exit slip. You do many different things in order to support the scholar. And that was not done. She ignored that and continued to teach multiplication tables.
They need to know both those math facts and their algebra and their geometry, right?
Yes.
And so the modern ways we know try and blend those things, if they have deficiencies, you're addressing that, but you're making sure they're also getting the algebra and geometry content that the curriculum standards say they're required to have.
Well, this is an end of course exam as well, and that was impressed upon her. So our scholars will be tested, the state test. That is the state test for Algebra 1 and geometry is that end of course exam, and they'll be expected to know the standards. And as far as their multiplication tables, every room is equipped with a set of calculators. And so it's just a matter of teaching them the methodology of using those calculators to work those problems. Because on the test, they can use calculators. So they're not required to do mental math, like the tables, the multiplication tables.
The last few pages of the packet are before I make the board. We discussed the student who she wanted to discipline from talking about geometry last year.
Yes, sir.
Is this a statement in response to?
Yes, sir.
And then the last page, that's the actual math sheet. She graded some things wrong. When you got the answer right, you just didn't write it the way she wanted. So,
That is correct.
okay. That's all, right?
You have questions from the students?
Oh, yes, sir, good. Yes, good. And I was hired in the interview. What was I told I was supposed to do?
You were given the option of English or math. You said you prefer math.
I don't recall that next year. Did they have already written that? Because I am very proficient in teaching. Reading, so I would have said reading, because the federal government mandates only reading and math for these students. They're not under the state standard. They're under the federal government standard. And I have that.
Well, Jack, we'll get the argument. We need to ask questions. And if you'll have a chance to ask, make a closing statement.
You told me, you and Mrs. Shelton, that I would do the math. I did not do that.
Well, we had a panel of people during that interview, and I think that other than Ms. Barrington and I, we polled those folks. They would tell you
that you said math.
I deny that. I
All right,
can't.
do you have any other questions from Ms. Biggs?
Yes, I do. Ms. Biggs, did I not tell you that as a learning disability instructional specialist at 45 hours instructional that I knew the kids did not, in my former section I had given them, and the informal test on the map, they do not have the ability to perform any algebra or geometry. Those 10 of my students tested out on a kindergarten level, 10 first grade, and I think 11 third grade. They couldn't count money to get. They can't add.
So if you'll let me answer your question.
Okay.
You did express that, and we also expressed to you that the content was required. That was a non-negotiable.
Right. Ms. Biggs, when I contact the Department of Education, I was told I was not certified to teach algebra or geometry. I tell you that.
No, ma'am.
Audiovisual will show, I mentioned it again to Dr. Orr when he gave me the letter of termination. The audiovisual will show that I'm advocating for the audiovisual to be seen. But the state told me I was not certified. I was only certified to teach what's on my Arkansas license.
You have a special ed license, and not you.
I am an instructional specialist. I am well qualified in my field, 45 hours, and no.
Do you have any more questions for Ms. Biggs?
Yes, I do. Ms. Biggs, I never had some student out because they told me that they had written the question wrongly on the application.
Ms. Bryant, I'm gonna ask you to ask a question. You're gonna have plenty of opportunity to state your
Okay,
case.
Ms. Biggs, may I please have that student's name?
We're not here to talk about the students, we're here to talk about you. You can just,
Okay. So, that's it.
okay. Next witness?
Thank you, Mr.
Sir, do we have any questions from the board? I'm sorry. Ms. Biggs. Thank you, Ms. Biggs.
Okay.
I'll jump in if you got questions.
I just think we are this big and this testimony here, and they pass in accordance with this.
Yes, sir, it is.
Were you involved in Ms. Bryant's hire?
Yes, I was.
Was she hired on as math or any?
When we talked to her about the position, I specifically remembered she asked for math because I actually asked another teacher who was down for math to move to English language arts so that we could place her in a math position.
And, you heard Ms. Bryant discuss a little bit about her licensure. Could you tell the board a little bit about how special education and licensure works?
Yeah, special education licensure is just that. It's special education pre-K-12. You're licensed in special education because you're licensed to teach whatever content and develop, like I told you before, the scaffold lessons to teach children how to learn through their craft.
So a special education teacher doesn't necessarily have a content area they're licensed in. They're licensed special education, and they're expected to be able to teach whatever content they decide to provide.
Correct. The only ones that would have a license would be ones that are licensed in another area and then add special ed after the fact.
All right, so there came a point where Ms. Bryant was not taking care of her special education paperwork and all that.
I got wind of her not taking care of her paperwork after we had already brought in support for the math inclusion. I give everybody a spreadsheet at the beginning of the year, it has all their dates. But then I found out that another teacher was taking care of all of that, and Ms. Bryant attended some of the conferences, not any of the conferences. She didn't take care of any of the paperwork herself.
What conference is that?
Annual review conferences, evaluation conferences, existing data review conferences, F conferences, any conferences that are required by law.
IDA requires you to have a number of conferences related to students to be checking in on their education and make sure your IEP is addressing their needs and that the instruction is aligning with the IEP and
Correct.
everything's going along, so they'll be learning, right?
Right, and it reviews every year.
And the classroom teachers and special education teachers are required to attend those conferences as a resource for parents.
Correct.
And also, they are part of the IEP team that's addressing any problems that may come up during the educational process, right?
Correct.
And, special education teachers, they're a key component required to be present for those meetings of the law, right?
Correct.
Because they're not there, that the district will process problems that can lead to litigation in the district, right?
Correct.
More importantly, it can lead to problems with that student's education, deficiencies in their education, correct?
Exactly.
So her not attending those conferences is very important matter, correct?
Absolutely.
And how important is it that she be filling out her own paperwork for her students?
That's the most important part. She's supposed to case manage her list of students. And if another teacher is case managing them, they're case managing more than they're legally able to do.
It's because for each student, we keep a file of their paperwork and their special education services that they're receiving from teachers, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that's supposed to accurately reflect the hours of instruction they're receiving, the content areas covered by their IEP, right?
Yes, sir.
And then, if that's not correct, then the district has a problem. We have some procedural issues.
Yes, we do.
And then the special education teacher, if we have to go answer questions to the state or prepare challenge to the due process proceeding, the special education teacher is going to have to be able to answer those questions and stand behind her record, correct?
Correct. And if they do not, it opens it up to liability.
Right. If they're missing instruction, or we just can't prove that they received instruction that they did, then we'll have to provide supplemental education and more expense for our special education department, correct?
Absolutely.
The paperwork absolutely key to special education, right?
It's key and it's required.
How important is it in special education to make sure we're teaching the required content areas?
It's absolutely required because these students have to make gains towards the gen ed curriculum in order to graduate.
Right. So that for a high school student in algebra, that means they have to make progress in algebra, not just whatever deficiencies they may have in the past. They still have to have those current content areas, right?
They have to have those content areas to move on to the next content area to graduate.
And what would be your concern if there was a teacher who was refusing to teach the content areas?
The kids aren't going to make progress. And so they're going to fail. And number one rule in special ed, we can't let them fail. We don't pass them just by passing them. They have to make progress.
That's why we have these ed conferences, so if we're identifying a student who's going to fail, we want to make sure our teachers are providing support to help address whatever deficiencies occur, right?
Right. We don't have F conferences because they are failing. We have F conferences because they're in fear of failure, so that we can do everything possible to make sure that they don't fail.
Thank you.
Is that it?
Ms. Bryant, do you have any questions for Ms. Darrington? Okay, board members, do you have any questions for Ms. Darrington? Thank you, Ms. Darrington.
That concludes the board's presentation, or the administration's presentation.
Ms. Bryant, you may give your presentation now.
I have lots of them.
Sure.
The attorney spoke with me while I was serving the board meeting and asked if I would resign. And then the information did not go into the public. And my reply to him was, yes, sir, because I want my students support. And that is why I'm stepping today. I believe in my heart what the scripture says, and it says, if you be my disciples, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. So I put the truth in front of you all on a few issues, and I reflect all of these allegations that are brought against me. Likewise, I will tell you that I am not new to this district. I was here 45 years ago, and I taught special education. And it was something to make your heart bleed at this point, because those babies couldn't read, they couldn't add nothing, they just had to be reading. The first year, they had me teaching individualized instruction and English. Well, they would send the kids an individualized instruction out of the regular program because they couldn't read. So you had to read the data to them. You had to answer all of the questions at the end of the chapter. You had to quiz and review the kids over those questions. Then the teacher would send the test. You had to read the test to the kids.
Ms. Bryant, are you talking about 45 years ago, or are you talking about right now?
I'm getting to the point, sir. I'm going to make a point. Yes,
Okay.
sir. Well, because the kids couldn't read, and I knew I could teach them because I've been trained to do it, but I was told, no, we just want them to be introduced to the material and let them go through school. I called Mr. Whitehead. He was the director of secondary instruction. I said, sir, would you please, because I had previously been come on, talk to me. I see folks can't read, and they're making me read second. He did. He made it there about 7:30 in the morning.
Ms. Bryant, I must emphasize once again that the purpose of this hearing is to bring before the school board
I'm
that the
trying to make
employment
a point,
contract
sir.
be terminated and only matters relevant to this recommendation will be permitted. I'm gonna ask you to move to 2023, and let's talk about the matter before us.
So I get. But the matter today is the same as it was yesterday. The only difference is now I'm teaching math. The students can't do, they can't add, they can't subtract. They don't know the multiplication facts. They can't do fractions, they can't multiply, they can't divide. They tested out and have 10 preferred methods. Those 10 methods. 1 on the first. And 10 on the first. And about 12 on the second. My assessment plan, as an instructional specialist, in order for schools to make progress, you have to test to find out what they know, and then start at that and teaching them. I'm a remedial person to remediate weaknesses so that the children can get up to a particular point whereby they can enter into a teacher's classroom that is certified to teach algebra and geometry and perform. I contacted the state Department of Education. They said, no, you're not certified to teach algebra or geometry. Just what it's on your certificate as an instructional specialist. And I know what that entails. You start where they are, as I have explained in all the data you have. I've reviewed all of it. And then you teach them intensively and intently to make sure they understand a concept and connect that to the concept they taught previously before you move on. In the connection process, they make levels of progress. If they're on a kindergarten, they will move up to a first. But I'm teaching them so that they can make it up to about a 6th grade level as what I was trying to get to. Some of the students here interviewed when I taught in reading something like their alphabet, but they, with my intensity teaching and intently, they learn not only to read, but to read on a 6th grade level in 1 year, some of them. The minimum, a 4th grade level. I could have done the same with the math. My instructional training is for you to teach the kids according to their weaknesses and let them move up to the level where they will be able to go into the repertoire. So the state has told me I'm not qualified. I'm teaching according to federal mandate. There's not a federal mandate that will condemn me. I'm teaching also according to any higher institution running. They will condemn me. I know we will have to prove that. This says that I'm to teach the kids algebra and geometry and not teach them to become literate individuals. This will be condemned by federal mandates, federal and introduces the past intention. And I am 100% sure. I will ask the board, please read the refuting evidence I have provided against what I have been accused of, because it is false. It is not applicable for my educational training and what the federal government mandates.
Okay.
I'm good.
Do you have any questions, Mr. Richardson?
No, and I feel like that was kind of a closing statement. We agreed that we could closing statement, how they see the closing.
Yeah.
Any questions from the board for Ms. Bryant? Mr. Richardson, you give a closing statement?
I think part of what you're seeing here, in your packet, we gave you the supporting materials behind the reprimand. I want to be a little more efficient, so I didn't go through those. We have a number of emails that reflect meetings with Ms. Bryant and efforts to try to support her so that she could teach the content areas. And I think what you'll see in those and in the package she gave is sort of where she started out with her statement, which is she has kind of an older way of thinking about education and the standards that he's on. So you have before you a person who just simply wouldn't work with us. She wouldn't teach the content area. She felt like she knew better than the administration as to the curriculum, the standards that needed to be addressed. If her students are struggling with their math facts, they're fine. At this level, they can use calculators, so it's not really that much of a detriment to their grades. But she can embed that within the curriculum of teaching algebra and geometry so that you can cover both things, because you can't leave behind the algebra and geometry teaching and simply focus on basic math. They need to be building all of that. And she said, I guess she gave assessments, and some of the kids were testing at kindergarten level. Okay, now that's your, fine, take that up, that's your job as a teacher to begin teaching them beyond that, raise them up beyond those levels. But unfortunately, that's not what was happening here. And you'll see a few other incidents in here, like not doing the paperwork. That's a very important point. The problem with one student where he was getting the math facts correct, but he was marking them wrong. I don't really understand that, but it was done. So this is just a person who was not suited to her position. He didn't want to work with the district. We tried to give her the support she needed to get her there, and she just couldn't get beyond her own conception of how things ought to go at the high school to teach the standards that we now have in place. And so it's really just time to let her go and find another position elsewhere. So we would ask that you uphold the recommendation of the administration. We're in a little bit of a new era, post-teacher fair dismissal on the Arkansas Learn. So we'll no longer have findings of fact and conclusions on findings of fact. All your decisions, we don't have to have a written motion of findings or anything like that either. But you still will maintain your ability to uphold or accept the recommendation of the administration, reject the recommendation, or modify it in some way. If there is a modification, we'll need some writing and that to be part of your motion. So I expect when you come back, there will be a motion to accept the recommendation, a motion to reject the recommendation, or a motion to modify it in some way. I would submit that there's not really a modification that would work here to get Ms. Bryant where she can teach the standards. The administration will work with her with a 5-day suspension without pay. It doesn't get you to correct your teaching methods. And I don't know if there's any modifications you can make to get her on track with what needs to happen. So thank you for your attention. We would ask that you accept the recommendation of the administrator.
May I say one more thing, sir?
Just one time.
I didn't address my not doing the paperwork, but I have a copy of the paperwork that Mrs. Bartlett told me that I had to address. It had nothing to do with my teaching. It is just IEP paperwork. And also, I did want to make mention that in the conferences where I was dismissed by Dr. Orr and the administration, my character, my professional qualifications, my teaching techniques were defamed, much defamation of character. I have suffered much mental anguish from this because I know I am fully qualified following federal mandates. So I would love for you to read what I have submitted before
We
you.
have that before us, we will take it into consideration.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move into, executive session.
All right, go ahead and call the meeting back to open session. Kevin, are we on? You too, okay. All right, do I hear a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to oppose the superintendent's recommendation.
So, motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Next item I've got is adjournment.
Before I adjourn, I would like to recognize Mrs. Lauren Martin for receiving 50 hours of board development training.
Congratulations.
Make a motion to adjourn.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Thank you for getting. Dr. Brown. Thank you.